You have tuned in to Weird Realities for the latest in movie reviews on Watching Weird. Here, authors Alan Gamboa, Scott Baker, and Rich Ristucci join yours truly, Hadley Thorne, to explore and expand on our love of film. Live streaming each Thursday on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, we invite you to join us. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment for this interactive experience. Now grab your popcorn and Coke, and let's talk movies. Hey guys!
Howdy.
Hey, that
Happy
was scary.
Thursday! Oh, I thought it was cute.
I liked it. It was good. I was kind of scared though, those bats coming out of that. Gotcha.
Hey, Chassie, how are you doing tonight?
Hi.
Well,
What was
I'm
that?
excited to get started.
Oh.
Alan, you want to get us a rundown? Or
Yes, tonight's show is in honor of the 4th of July for all those that have sacrificed to give us the freedoms that we have. So we thought we'd pick some war movies that we all enjoy, have watched several times, and that are some of our favorites. And so tonight we have Rich's Hacksaw Ridge, Scott's Fury, Hadley's We Were Soldiers Once, and mine Black Hawk Down, and then we have Saving Private Ryan. I think the four of us all kind of jumped in on that one. So, excuse me, got a little frog in my throat somewhere. So we're gonna start with Hadley Thorne.
oh, awesome! Because I've got so much to unpack with this.
That's why.
I did We Were Soldiers, and it's based on the novel We Were Soldiers Once and Young by United States Army Lieutenant General and author Harold Gregory Moore Jr.
Hey, Tony.
Hi, Tony.
Hey,
Good
Tony.
evening, Tony.
And this is a quote from the actual book that I wanted to read. And I'm going to butcher the Vietnamese names. I'm really sorry about that. The Ai Drang campaign was to the Vietnam War
Albert
with the
Moss.
terrible
Hi, Al.
Hey, buddy.
with
Hey,
the
I was-
terrible Spanish Civil War of the 1930s was to World War II, a dress rehearsal. The place where new tactics, techniques, and weapons were tested, perfected, and validated.
Hey, buddy.
In the Ai Drang, both sides claimed victory, and both sides drew lessons, some of them dangerously deceptive, which echoed and resonated throughout the decade of bloody fighting and bitter sacrifice that was to come. And that's from Lieutenant General Hal Moore. So this movie starts off, and it centers around Lieutenant Colonel Moore
Lambda.
at the time.
Hi, Lambda.
And Hal Moore was a Harvard
Hello.
graduate, family man. He was a student of warfare. He had been in Korea. He was a natural born leader, and he's selected to head up the elite 1st of the 7th and promptly goes to Fort Benning, Georgia. There, he trained a group of men, and they eventually give their lives in the battle at Ai Drang Valley. I love this story, and it's, to me, the movie is just brilliantly done because it really captures the what's going on at the home with the families while everyone's at war. It's also the bitter awakening to the harsh reality of the war with the Viet Cong, and it was just like it just broke away the innocence of a lot of our GIs. This was pretty much wasn't it the first battle of the Vietnam
Yes.
War?
Yeah.
First American battle, yes.
Yeah, and I mean it was totally different than anything we'd seen before. Now, the other thing I love about this movie is so well done is the character studies of Lieutenant Moore, Major Plumley, and let me see, I've got the name here of
Jack.
Greg Kinnear's character, Bruce Snake
Oh.
Shit Crandall, who
Shit.
just amazing. And these guys are what heroes are. This movie really is a testament to that. And also, the book that this is based on was written by Joe Calloway, Galloway, who was
Galloway.
played by Barry Pepper, the photojournalist in it, and Lieutenant Hal Moore,
Oh, yeah.
which again, just another just great point in the movie. Madeline Stowe plays the wife, and it's just really well done. But the thing that I love about this movie, again, there's so much. It's was a different type of American war movie than we'd really
Mhm.
seen before, and to me, it shows that we can be knocked down. We can be, outnumbered, out strategized, outlasted. People die.
Mhm.
We can even lose, but we still maintain honor, respect, bravery, and loyalty to one another. And to me, that is what it means to be an American in a nutshell, for me personally.
Mhm.
So I just love this movie, and it is a very bloody movie. If you have if you don't want to be familiar with the
David.
Hey, David.
Good evening, David.
if you don't want to be familiar with the atrocities that come with war and the chaos, you just skip it, because this movie does a really good job at showing what a bloody conflict it was back with the North Vietnamese back in the 60s. Now, another just little y'all know I like my trivia. This is the same battalion that George Custer
Yeah.
lost at Little Bighorn. And so, like 100 years later, here you have Hal Moore, who is blonde, and he's referred to as yellow hair by his men, by the way. So it just, I don't know. I don't know, guys. I'm just, again, I said I have a bunch of notes. I could go on and on and on about this. Another thing I like about this movie is that it is the only time I can think of actually seeing the use of new tactics in warfare, which is the
Mhm.
use of the Hueys. And that was phenomenal. And again, the whole Greg Kinnear aspect with that using the helicopters to bring stuff in and troops out,
Mhm.
it was amazing. And it
What's
was a
a hui? I
thank
just want to
you.
know what's a hui. You said
D9.
the use of
Hooah!
huis.
Leave
Yeah.
me alone.
Sorry.
Anyway, so that's what I've got to say about it. Like I said, I really like this movie. I hope y'all enjoyed it as much as I did. Y'all know I'm a big history buff, so like I said, I went to see this at the theater,
Mm.
So
and
did I.
it's incredible. It
I
was an
saw it with my
incredible.
dad.
Uh,
Yeah, this is
Oh,
this is a great film, and it really does. It hits on several fronts, and like you mentioned, Hadley, one of the things that it hits on is the women, the wives at home.
Yeah.
And honestly, one of the scariest parts of this movie is they're right in the middle of battle, and it just switches to a vacuum cleaner. I was like, what the? It scared the crap out of me. So
well, and I didn't even mention that about the wives with they were so unprepared. The brass at home, they just thought that they were going to walk into Vietnam and just
Oh, yeah.
it was
that's because their intel was that the Vietnamese were cowards and fools, and what they didn't understand is that, hey, they had already been fighting for 20 years. They were battle hardened and ready, and they were very, very tactically sound.
Yeah.
And
yes.
it ended up costing many, many American lives, and it's a war we didn't win, on the whole. So
Yeah. And plus, we always fight the last war.
yeah,
No, seriously, we
yeah,
went
yeah,
into
you're
World
right.
War
Yeah,
II with World War One tactics. We went into Korea with World War II tactics. We only started to get our crap together and fight contemporary when we were in the Gulf War.
yeah.
I
Well, they got
thought
the hell.
I thought the woman, including the women, one of the things I liked about this movie, I rewatched it for the first time in about 20 years, remembered how great it was. It, not only told it from the American perspective, it told it from the Viet Cong perspective.
Exactly.
Yes.
They weren't two-dimensional soldiers being gunned down. There was the commanding officer. You could see how each was planning against each other. They made some of the Viet Cong, like the guy with the glasses that was charging and almost took down more. They made them as human as the Americans. And just that whole scene when he first shows up at Mrs. Moore's house, and she screams at him, "How dare you? You know what I'm doing?" He looks at her and goes, "Ma'am, I don't enjoy this job either."
Oh, the taxi driver. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it was brilliant. Other than Saving Private Ryan, I think this was also, which was 4 years earlier, I think this was one of the very few movies at that time that showed the horrors of war.
Well,
You
and
know, the guy Marshall, like the scene that struck me was when the photographer and Mashimoto were talking, and he was taking pictures of him under the artillery, the mortar.
Jimmy.
And then 20 minutes later, he watched Mashimoto with his face all burned off being put on the helicopter.
well, Greg Kinnear in this movie, he has some of the best facial expressions when he's seeing these soldiers that he's bringing in and seeing them taken out, basically in body bags. I mean, well, they weren't bagged up, but they were, it was tough. And he did a real good job. And this was around the time I think he left Talk Soup, and he was very underrated as an actor. We just thought he was a smartass who was on the TV show, but it's very well done. But that scene in the beginning when they get off the helicopters and they're waiting for people to shoot and no one's shooting at them, and then they get that false sense of security. That to me, that's that whole losing our innocence thing, because they're like, what's going on here? And then it's just a massacre.
And one more thing before I turn over to you guys that I loved is they went in depth on Moore's leadership.
Yes.
That he read about it, that he cared about the troops, that I love the scenes when they kept on trying to call him back, and he's like, "I'm not leaving. I'm the last man off this battlefield." And at the end, near the end of the movie, when all the last helicopter was about to go, he took his feet off the ground and stepped into the helicopter. That is huge because, so many battles were won or lost through the ineptitude or the brilliance of, the commanding officer.
Well, he had notes on the attack of the Viet Cong on the French forces.
Yeah.
That had happened before, and he understood that, the lieutenant colonel, like the Vietnamese lieutenant colonel, whom I can't remember his name, he was not an idiot. He was a very smart guy, and he went in there knowing that. And one of the things that it's only briefly mentioned in the movie, and it's actually really happened, is that right before they were deployed, like the day before, 3 days before they were deployed, his forces were cut down by a third.
Yeah,
They took half.
Yeah.
They took 1/3 of his entire, battalion away from him, and they still deployed them with. I think they had 395 men versus 4,000 Viet Cong.
They took all the senior staff and soldiers that had experience. Yeah, crazy.
So, Alan, what'd you think?
I like this movie a lot. I'm a big Mel Gibson fan anyway, but I enjoyed this movie. I remember seeing it at the movies. And I had read the book before that, and I thought they did a good job at this. I liked the movie. It was a good movie. It was very violent. It built the characters up to where you cared about if they lived or died. Some of you were unrecognizable, though, which is a problem with a lot of war movies, because they've got to wear helmets and stuff, and they all have short hair. So you get lost with the actors and who dies and, who lives in. And so I think that was a kind of a problem with this one. But you had Opie from Sons of Anarchy. He did a great job as Savage.
He was in Fury too.
He was in Fury too. Oh, he was in Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
He had a brief part in that. So it's a good movie. It's beautifully shot. Mel Gibson is solid. Like
Hey,
Alan.
Hey, Alan. And you guys pretty much covered it. I enjoyed this one.
Well,
really
to me, this is a different look at the Vietnam War too.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you've ever seen R. Lee Ermey's movie Siege of Fire Base Gloria.
Yes.
No.
It's a different type of movie. It's not as serious as this one, but it takes the angle that the Vietnamese have, and it shows that part. It kind of reminded me of that here, basically. But that's a pretty good flick.
What you said about there were so many actors, I read that Moore asked, and they did it. Every one of his men who was at the battle was represented by an extra.
Oh.
And they tried to get extras who looked like the officers. So, there were so many guys in the background that never got seen.
Oh, yeah.
That was because Moore wanted to memorialize them in the movie.
Did you guys watch the credits?
Nice. Yes.
If you watch the credits, all of the soldiers that were killed there are mentioned. All of them are plastered up there, and you can see their names and where they were from. And I thought that was pretty cool.
I mean,
It's also pretty cool. They mention exactly where on the Vietnam Wall you can find their names too.
58th panel. Yeah.
My ex was in the military, and he actually met Hal Moore, and he couldn't say enough nice things about him.
He just Hal Moore just passed a few years ago, right?
2017, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I saw an interview with him when the book first came out, and they really do such a good job in the movie. Can you imagine the desperation when you call in a napalm strike on your own position?
Oh, yeah.
It happens. There's no way. I mean, they were fighting 30 feet apart. There's just no way to get close enough with artillery or something like napalm or phosphorus without damaging your own troops. I mean, it's incredibly rare that happens, that you don't have friendly fire in that type of situation.
Alan, we're discussing We Were Soldiers with Mel Gibson and the phenomenal film.
Apparently the Vietnamese commander had to write a note and send it to someone because the government in Hanoi.
Hey, Michael.
Glad you made it.
The government in Hanoi thought he was a traitor because he didn't win the battle. There was no way he could have lost that battle, with so many odds.
Helicopters.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was going to make the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Man, my dad was over there in '63 as an advisor, right before that. So.
Well, I want to mention this before we move on. And I didn't get everybody, but I did get Lieutenant General Hal Moore was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, the U.S. military's second highest decoration for valor, and was the first of his West Point class of 1945 to be promoted to Brigadier General, Major General, and Lieutenant General. He was awarded the Order of St. Maurice by the National Infantry Association, as well as the Distinguished Graduate Award by the West Point Association of Graduates. So he's the real deal, guys.
Yes, he is.
But there's a lot of heroes in that battle, and
and then it only got worse.
Yeah, it all went downhill.
Anyway, I give it a 5. What do y'all give it?
5.
Scott?
5.
Alan?
Yeah, I'd give it a 5.
You know what? I'm gonna lean in and give it a 5. We haven't had a full 20 movie in a while.
Yeah.
And, that really is a great film.
I don't think we've ever had a full 20 movie.
We have. We did.
Have we?
Recently, didn't we?
Oh, Hobo with a Shotgun. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, that was it.
Tokyo Gore Police.
Turkey.
Oh.
Or Turkey. What's that one? The Turkey one?
Thanksgiving.
Okay, guys.
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Hey,
So,
I could have picked a real schlocker. I picked a good movie for Shark Week. Not any of the schlock I could have.
We shall see.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, hey, let's move backwards a little bit. Let's go with your movie, Rich, Hacksaw Ridge.
All right, Hacksaw Ridge. It's a 2016 film about a conscientious objector, war hero named Desmond Doss.
Matt always gets a perfect.
Yes, it does, Tony. The film was directed by Mel Gibson, and it chronicles the events of the 77th Infantry's attack on the infamous escarpment of Hacksaw Ridge during the Battle of Okinawa. The film stars Andrew Garfield, Teresa Palmer, Sam Worthington, and Vince Vaughn, with a very special performance by Hugo Weaving as Desmond Doss's father. As a child, Doss was the son of a poor Army veteran, which I found out later actually isn't true. His dad wasn't
Hey,
a
Jennifer.
veteran.
Hey, Jennifer.
But he gets into a fight with his brother and he almost kills him. And between that event and the fact that he threatens to kill his father when his father is beating his mother, Doss, with the 7-day Adventist upbringing, declares himself a pacifist. He falls in love with a young nurse played by Palmer and then enlists in the Army to fight in World War II as a combat Army medic. Things are difficult for Doss when his sergeant and captain learn that he will not pick up a rifle. They try to drum him out of the Army for cowardice, but Doss sticks it out, and with help from his father, again expertly played by Hugo Weaving, Desmond is able to remain in the Army after winning a court-martial. Deployed in Okinawa, Doss and the rest of the 77th relieve the 96th Infantry at Hacksaw Ridge. The Japanese are brutal, efficient, and unafraid of death, and they hold the top of a 60-foot escarpment that needs to be taken by the Americans. The rest of the film is about an unarmed Doss repeatedly putting himself in peril in order to save the lives of his comrades. He runs into fire dozens of times, and when the 77th retreats, he stays and sort of gets trapped on top of Hacksaw by himself. And he saves dozens of wounded who he lowers down the cliff by rope. Doss was the first conscientious objector to win the Congressional Medal of Honor. The guy really is a true hero.
Yes.
Replete
I've
with
seen documentaries on him.
yeah, there are a few, but this was the first movie, and I'll get into that in a minute. Replete with gruesome battle scenes, lots of body horror, blood and guts everywhere. The film was nominated for 6 Academy Awards, and it won 2 of the lesser ones. I think sound mixing and some kind of editing thing. But it did win a ton of the AACTA, which is the Australian Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor. It just crushed it over there. Excuse me. It was filmed in Australia. It had a budget of $40 million, and it was considered a box office smash because it pulled in $180 million. This film was considered the return to film for Mel Gibson, and Garfield's performance almost won him an Oscar. Doss himself had been approached many times to allow Hollywood to make a film, of all of his exploits, but he always turned them down because none of the producers would make a movie with any accuracy, and he wanted it to be real. This film was pretty close to actual events, but of course there are some liberties taken, such as, his dad wasn't really a World War I veteran, and that really played into the movie pretty well.
Yeah.
But I guess it wasn't true. A really interesting note is that Mel Gibson decided to omit several of the actual events that happened, like Doss crawling 300 yards after a sniper bullet hit him in the arm. That really happened, but he left it out because the truth would have been too difficult for moviegoers to believe. I mean, they would have said, yeah, that couldn't have happened, but it really did. Personally, I love this film. I enjoy any film that tries to be historically accurate, especially by today's standards. And Doss, he truly is a hero. He was a hero. And he saved the lives of 75 men in Okinawa. But before Okinawa, he received 2 Bronze Stars for his service in Guam and the Philippines. What'd you guys think? Did you guys like it?
Oh, this was, I love this movie. The only complaint I have about this movie is the only characters they really built up. Hey, Whitney.
Hey, Whitney.
The only character they really built up was Desmond Doss, his dad, his wife, Smitty, and, well, of course, Vince Vaughn just shined in this one.
Yeah, he killed it. He was funny.
And the other guys you really didn't, you didn't really care that much about. But this movie is just great. I mean, I've seen it twice, and it's about a man and his faith that he never loses. He's like, God, what do you have for me? And it's just, it's insane. A buddy of mine was stationed over in Okinawa, and he said the same thing you said, Rich, is that they couldn't film some of the stuff he did because he just wouldn't believe it. Andrew Garfield is great in this role.
Yeah, he is. He was nominated for an Academy Award for that,
and rightfully so.
Yeah,
and Hugo Weaving, great. I mean, this is some of the best acting I've seen him do.
Yeah, he does, Michael. You're right. Gibson's Gibson's really good at showing horror.
And I didn't
in
realize
wartime.
I didn't realize this was an Australian movie till I got into it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
90% of the actors are Australians.
Yeah.
Australians. His son's even in it. Mel Gibson's son's even in it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he makes it through. He's just one of the. He doesn't build up the character, so you don't really, he's just one of the guys around.
Yeah,
But
excuse me, this wasn't a character-driven film. It really wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
Other than him,
Doss,
it was
right.
really all about Doss.
it's a fantastic movie.
It is.
For a war movie. It's a I want to say it's a feel-good movie for a war movie, but it just shows somebody's faith so strong that they can,
Agreed.
So I like this movie a lot. Good pick.
Honestly, war movies are the only movies that really get me, and like I don't know that I actually teared up during this one, but when I was watching We Were Soldiers and Black Hawk Down, and even a little bit of Fury, there was like I was welling a little.
Oh,
Honestly, some of the stuff
Yeah.
that those poor people went through, and they did it for us. They
Yeah.
do it for us. So it's
they do.
And so many of them were just 18, 19,
Yeah,
20 years
kids.
old.
Yeah.
yeah.
They were kids and they went through a hell. Most of the veterans my father knew. My father never served in a war. He was in the Marines between Korea and Vietnam. But most of the World War II and Korea veterans never talked about the battle.
No, my dad never did. He earned a Bronze Star over there, and I like Vietnam War movies because I try to understand what my dad went through over there, and he died from lymphoma from Agent Orange, but in 2014, and it's just this one I didn't well up, but the other movies, yes, this one I was like, just I enjoyed the acting. It was a good movie.
Well, you nailed it when you said it. It's a blood and guts feel good movie. It really
It
is
is.
because
It
it's
is.
just he's such a friggin' hero that you just know he's not going to. Well, first of all, he was still alive when they made the movie, so he's not going to die. But it was just he did things that you just can't imagine when he's wiping the guy's eyes. The guy thought he was blind. There's a man who's got blood and sand in his eyes and he can't see. And he's begging. He's like, I can't see. They're going to kill me. And Doss just takes out his canteen and wipes his eyes off. And at the end of the film, there's a few interviews with Desmond Doss. And he brings that up. And he's like, that actually happened. And he was so happy to see the guy smile. And, and that just gets you,
Yes.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
a
me
different
too,
breed.
Michael.
It's a different breed, Michael.
And
That's
I
what got
read
me.
that. Well, I read that in the movie, I think he tries to save or does save a wounded Japanese soldier.
Yes.
I think in real life, when he tried to do that, most of the unit told him they'd kill him if he did.
Well, I liked in the movie where they say he even sit down a couple of jabs, but they didn't make it. And I kind of laughed at that because that's war and that's realistic. Because these guys have been butchering their men,
And the Japanese never surrendered. I mean,
No.
they were
No.
just it was horrible.
Well,
The
and
thing
when
that
Alan
always-
says butcher, I mean, they really were butchers.
The thing that struck me about Doss was he could have easily not gone to the war. He was a conscientious objector.
Yeah.
And he fought despite the being bullied, despite his commanding officers. They offered him a Section 8 to leave. And he says, there is no way I'm going to take a Section 8 based on my religion.
Yes, Chance.
Yes.
And Unit 731, oh my God, I was there once. It's horrifying. But he still went in and he wound up saving 50 to 100 American soldiers at that one battlefield.
So before that even happened, before he even decided to enlist and be a medic, he worked in a government. I can't remember exactly what it was, but Desmond Doss worked in a capacity where he would have been exempt from going over because he was making.
Oh yeah, he was a shipyard worker.
Something. Is that what was a shipyard worker?
Yeah,
He was doing something such that he was making materials for the war. So he didn't have to go.
no,
The guy's a double hero.
but I read somewhere where he said you know, God help you. God bless America. How can I not go and help?
Yeah. And I like at the end of the movie when they had the interviews, they had his captor,
Yeah.
you know, and
Still alive. Yeah.
still alive, and he had misread
Mm-hmm.
Desmond from the beginning, you know, and he apologized to him, and he just hoped that Desmond could forgive him for that. And that, to me, that was just those parts got me. The end of the movie, the actual real footage and stuff, and talking about how long they were married and all that, that got me. I teared
Band
up
of
on
Brothers. That Band of Brothers. When I'm watching Band of Brothers, I watch that once a year, and the end of that or it's actually throughout when they're giving the interviews of the actual men that were at the Battle of Bulge. Man, that just that really gets me every time.
Desmond Doss kind of looked like Dick Winters.
A little bit, actually. Yeah,
those
like the real.
Yeah, like real. Yeah. Which go ahead.
I was going to say, my wife's grandfather was with Easy Company.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was he there at the Battle of Bulge?
He was there. He paraglided into
Normandy.
Was at the Bulge, never talked about it, and spent the last couple of weeks at the war at Berchtesgaden.
Oh, wow.
And we haven't figured it out yet. He may have been at Market Garden.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Holland. Damn.
Yeah. Vince Vaughn in this had one of the best. I think he almost rivaled Full Metal Jacket in humor in a DI, because his whole part, I was just cracking up throughout. I thought he did a great job.
It's a good flick, Alan.
Well,
Very good movie.
Who was was it Sam Elliott? He was a riot, and we were soldiers.
Oh yeah,
yes,
I loved him.
Badass.
You're goddamn weatherman now.
Yeah.
What was it? Custer was a prick.
Yeah. Pussy. Yeah. Custer was a pussy. You ain't.
Any of you hug me, I'm gonna shoot you.
Yeah. When he's talking about the M16s, you need an M16. Well, if they get close enough, there'll be plenty of M16s laying around. You know? That's true.
And in response to Alan's thing about Lone Survivor, there's so many wonderful heroic war movies that we have. It was really hard to pick just 4. I know for me, we could do this every week. I could pick a different movie.
There's so many. But this was
I hate that I missed Riches. It's just I couldn't find it for free this week. So it was limited. My budget was limited this week.
You need to, whenever you can find it, you need to watch this one.
I'm definitely going to. I can tell it's.
There is a lot about the Japanese surrender.
Yeah.
I had one of my professors was Martin Sherwin, who wrote about the atomic bomb and the dropping of Japan. And we used to get into these friendly but horrendous debates. You know, he always claimed that Truman did it to show the Russians we don't mind killing our enemy.
Yeah.
I still think he did it solely for the reason, to just kill as many Japanese as. I've got a theory about the whole end of the war. We can do a show on that sometime, but it's not usual. But I've studied Japanese World War II history for years, and it's like when it started to dawn on me, it was fascinating.
Well, I would love for us to sit down and maybe do some not weird movies, but maybe just have some talks about some history, because y'all are a lot of fun to talk history with.
Yeah, we could segue right from what you said, Scott, into the shark movies, because the USS Indianapolis that dropped off the bomb.
I thought of doing that. I was thinking of a good show, but there hasn't really been a good movie about the Indianapolis.
No, it is mentioned in Jaws.
But you made it, Mike. We're just glad you made it.
You're here.
Mike.
Yes, hey, Mike.
I mean, that was the only good movie. That was ad lib, I found out.
Oh, was it really? Robert
He had
Shaw's
done the research. He was supposed to just talk about I was on the Indianapolis, and he went with it. Wow. And Dreyfuss was just like, oh, I can't ruin this. And, they just filmed that whole scene on one take.
Nice.
That is my favorite movie.
Yes.
What is?
And
Jaws.
Oh, okay.
It's literally perfect. We'll do that another time. I don't want to talk about Jaws.
Yeah, we're doing that in a few weeks.
Yeah, we're doing that in a few weeks.
But this movie is really, it was fascinating. It
Yeah.
really was.
Well, it's on my list. I can see that it's going to be something I'd really like.
You'll enjoy it. All the acting, every single actor in there did a great job.
Yeah.
Nailed it. What would you give it, Alan?
I would give it a 5. I really enjoyed it. And Tina watched it the second time she sat through it, and she hates war movies because they make her cry. So she sat through this one and, really enjoyed it.
What about you, Scott?
I didn't see it for this running. I saw it a few years ago, but I'm going to say 4.2.
All right, I am as well going to give it a 5, just because everything about it was just fantastic.
What
And
movie?
I thought there was a movie about there's a movie about the Indianapolis.
I
It's
think
got
there's one
Nicolas Cage in it. I saw it the other day.
Is that
when
the
I
one
was
with
looking for a
Cage?
movie.
Oh,
Oh,
that's right.
God.
I just saw it advertised. That's
Oh my
right.
God! I turned that off. It was so bad.
Oh no. So Hadley can't rate this movie, but she's gonna watch
But it's on my
it, and
to
then
watch list, and
yeah,
it's up high on the to watch list.
you'll like it, Hadley. You really will. It'll be a great movie. Okay, let's do we'll do Black Hawk Down, because then we can do Fury and Saving Private Ryan. How about that? Because they're
All right.
both kind of
Yeah.
Okay, I picked Black Hawk Down. I read the book, love the book. The book made me tear up. 1993, Delta Force, Rangers, everybody was over there trying to catch the warlord Farah Adid. And
Thanks, man.
2 Black Hawks are shot down during the attempted capture. And a force of Rangers, Delta Force, SEALs, Air Force pararescuemen, Army,
Everybody.
everybody is trying to recover the body or the live members of these 2 crews. And it's just a fight for survival, and a fight to get in and a fight to get out. This one is just really stuck close to the book. A lot of events is stuck close to. It mainly focused on the Delta Force and the Rangers, but there were a lot of other forces involved with it. A lot of good actors in it. Josh Hartnett, William Fichtner.
Everybody in Hollywood's in this
Yeah,
movie.
everybody in Hollywood.
Yeah.
This is a Ridley Scott movie, and this one actually made me tear up too. Even though I read the book, I knew it was coming.
Oh yeah.
It had some harrowing scenes. There was some comic relief in this with Tom Hardy and Ewan Bremer, and Thomas Geary, I think is the actor's name, but they're lost. The 3 of them get separated from the rest of the Rangers, and they're trying to find their way back. And there's some humor in that, but other than that, it was a tense movie. And the politics of the Clinton era really weren't. A deep dive into that in this movie, and it's just a straight up action movie. Unfortunately, it's based on true events, so there's a lot of really sad parts in it. I love this movie. I'll watch it once a year. It's just to remind me.
How many war movies have we seen? Pretty much all of them between the 4 of us.
Right.
And there's blood and guts everywhere. It's just when you think about the term hamburger, that is really what some of this look like. It's just gross. But this has the worst scene in it. It's got the most graphic, horrible scene in it, and that's when they have the guy on the table and he's shot in the leg, and the medic is digging in his leg, and he's got the vein, and he's pulling the vein back, and it just snaps back into the guy's leg, and I'm like, oh my Jesus Christ! And I'm looking at it, I went like this in the movie theater when I saw it, and my dad's looking at me, he's like, seriously, you watch zombie movies and that bothers you? And it did. It just because it was so real.
Well, I'm sure you know this. That was an actual. That really happened.
Yeah, I read the book.
Yeah, and so can you imagine his family watching that?
Yeah.
At the movies, watching their son die again horrifically.
Yeah.
The way he died. I mean, that had to be horrible.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Yeah. And that scene got me too. I mean, it's just
exactly. And you're like, you're sitting there at the end of it, and you're like, oh, he's not going to die. He's not going to. Well, I mean, I read the book, so I knew it. But I'm looking at him like, oh no, this is awful. That was just bad.
That struck me was when they were driving through in the Humvees, and the guy in the gun mount gets killed.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it was like this changed from we're having cowboy fun out here in Somalia to holy shit, this is real.
Well, it's like that guy that everybody thinks going to make it, and then they get hit, they
Yeah.
don't make it, and then everybody sees their mortality. They're like, if he can be killed, then what chance do I have?
Yeah, it's like when the comic relief dies. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that just, and that rang true. That was in the book too. That whole scene, it went out across the comms. I think it was Pia or Pila,
Mhm.
Pilla, I think, and they said Pilla's dead. You know, who got hit? Pilla's dead, and they all just shut down. You know, they were all just, you know, oh.
I've got puppy dreams.
That's okay.
Sorry.
But and it had a lot of Kim Coates from Sons of Anarchy, Tig.
Mhm.
You know, his death was pretty bad in that, and you knew he was going to die because he had little girls he was writing that book for. You know, and Shugart and Gordon, the two snipers that went down to try to rescue Durant.
Mhm.
You know, that was pretty hard to watch too, because I think the worst thing about their deaths is when they were dragged through the streets after they were killed.
That's just
Yeah.
And hung. You know, it just, to me, you know, it's just horrible. But I thought this movie did pretty well though at presenting what was going on over there. So, hey Max,
Hi,
Max.
Hey, Max.
thanks for joining us. So let's hear from you guys. I can rumble on.
This is also, I mean, these 4 movies are just 4 fantastic movies.
Yeah.
And Black Hawk Down is one of my favorite war movies.
Mhm.
And it was about a war that wasn't even a war. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just I guess they called it a police action, I think, kind of like Korea, but it was, I don't know, it was brutal and bloody and fast. And like I said, that
Lucky
one
him.
scene with the leg was bad.
Yeah.
But overall, I really enjoy this movie. It's, like I said, it's one of my favorite war movies.
And it's a Ridley Scott movie.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
And I think Michael Bay produced it, maybe. I'm thinking for some reason.
Mhm.
But the acting, you know, the actors in it, Orlando Bloom, Ewan McGregor.
Everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just-
Everybody.
Everybody's in it.
Eric
These
Everyone-
Bana.
4 movies have everyone in Hollywood in
Yeah.
someplace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Exactly, Max. Exactly.
This is actually, I have studied this a lot. Like, just one of the scenes in one of my books has a guy falling from a helicopter. So I went in and I just watched and listened to the guys tell the story about the guy falling from the helicopter over and over again. So I ended up watching probably 40 hours worth of, documentaries on this. I went to see the movie in the theater with my dad. He was a big war movie buff. That's where I get that from. And it is, in the time period that this happened, I remember I was in college and I remember seeing the helicopter being, on the ground and them dragging the body through the street.
Yep.
I mean, it was, to me, this is, maybe it's a generational thing, but it's something that's very much a part of who I think my generation is. But
Mhm.
we just, I mean, as Americans, we just didn't think anything like that could happen. And it
No.
did. And to see this movie and to see, I mean, we weren't told any of this. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe if you were in the military, you probably knew what happened. But I mean, just to be on the back streets of, whatever state you live in, you
Mhm.
didn't hear about it on the radio. You didn't hear about it on the news. It was just a little sub story somewhere.
Yeah.
And it was very much something that changed a lot of things for a lot of people.
It was the
Yeah.
first battle in a war that went on for still going on today in some parts of the world.
Yeah. And it was over food. I mean, that was the whole
Yeah.
thing. They weren't letting these people have food.
yeah,
But I'm sure it was much more complex than that. But you know what I
Yeah.
mean is the warlords were hoarding the food.
But yeah.
to control
19
the masses.
soldiers. 19 soldiers lost their lives that day, and
Yeah.
so it is a sad day.
It's
Yeah.
I had
it's a very strong movie for me, Alan, and I give it a 5.
Okay,
I'm going to give it a 4.8.
Rich.
Definitely a 5.
Yeah, me too. I give it a 5. I do love that scene where Jason Isaacs He's a Ranger captain. He comes up on Eric Bana, who's a Delta Force guy.
I know exactly.
And he's got the safety off on his rifle, and he's like, hey, you got a hot weapon, and he goes, what about your safety? And he's like, this is my safety. I love that scene.
And I will say that one thing I really like, and I've been around a lot of military guys over the years, that the camaraderie that they show in this is so authentic. It is just like you're talking about, the humor that they have in the middle of war. That if you hear these guys tell the stories, I mean, that's how they really are. It's, the great equalizer, I guess, is humor when you're in a scary situation.
Yeah.
Well, you got to have that gallows humor.
Yeah.
It just people look at you like you're crazy.
Morale.
Yeah, I remember we were pulling this guy out that he was just been beaten to a bloody pulp, and me and my partner pulled his pants off, and he had, like some people when they're dying they get like an erection, and this guy had the biggest friggin' erection, and we just started laughing. And I mean, it was a horrible situation, but we were in it, and it's like, and we just started laughing to each other. And years later, we talked about it. It affected me, and I talked to him one day, and he said, "Oh yeah, it affected me too." So it was good to know. Yeah, it was good to know. You just it's crazy.
So this movie and Patriots Day, I don't know if you guys have seen that movie.
Oh, that's a good movie.
Wahlberg. These are the two movies that piss me off the most. I mean, the Patriots Day, the whole thing. I mean, I'm from Boston, so you got to be mad. You're just angry the whole goddamn time. But when they're dragging the bodies down the street, just pure humiliation and degradation of a hero, really.
Yeah,
and it's just disgusting, and it just pisses me off. And they were aiming for that. They must have been aiming for that, and they nailed it. Same thing with Patriots Day. That it just makes me so mad. It makes everybody mad.
Yeah. Well, and those two guys went down knowing they would probably die.
Yeah.
They could die, and they didn't hesitate. No. They had each other's backs.
Yeah.
It's just
true heroes.
Yeah.
Like I said, war movies, only thing that gets me here.
Yeah.
That and Toy Story 3.
You made it much farther than I did in that franchise.
I know. I got to the second one, and I think I watched a Halloween special with my grandson. Well, okay, so Fury and Private Ryan. Scott, you picked Fury.
Did Scott give his rating on 4.8?
4.8.
Yes, 4.8.
Sorry,
yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, I haven't seen the movie in a few years. I remember it well, but I'm going to rewatch it again.
All right, so Fury.
Fury is, of all the movies, it's the least popular and probably the worst made of the movies. It's Saving Private Ryan for an armored division. It takes place in the last month of the war. This ragtag, I never saw it in the theater. Brad Pitt, no bloody way am I going to go see it. I actually was flipping through one night, came across one of the battle scenes, and then said, I got to get this and watch it. It is about a ragtag group, a war weary. They've been going through the war since Normandy. They've seen everything, and they're in Germany. They're closing in on Berlin. And it's just the story about how these guys are trying to finish the war and stay out alive. Right. What I loved about the movie is and I did a lot of research on this. While the movie is fictional, the battles are fake, the fighting is real. This is what happened. This is what these poor guys went through in the armored divisions. Like when the new recruit shows up to replace the guy that was killed, and then he has to go in and he has to take the flesh off his face and clean the blood all over his machine gun position. This is the way it happened. And the fighting at Saving Private Ryan is brutal. There's a scene where they're going into a town and there's a German machine gun nest, and they fire phosphorus rounds into the machine gun nest, and it explodes, and these German soldiers come out with bullets burning their body. And the American soldiers are like, no, let them burn, let them burn.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then that final scene when they in the town square there, the crossroads, where they're having the big battle with the SS division. It is bloody, it is brutal, it is very realistic. But the scene that I hate, I fast forward it, is that 20-minute scene in the aunt's house in the little town where they make breakfast and all of them come in. It's like, okay, you could have got rid of that. But the scene that I love, now granted, I realize that very few of our army divisions ever went up against Tigers, but the scene when they have the fight with the Tiger tank.
And that was a real Tiger tank too.
Yes, that was the only working one from Bovington.
Yep. So there's only the second one to appear in a movie.
Yes. And what I loved about it was the awe they put around it. You know, when the first tank blows up, and then they show the Tiger, like, ooh.
But this was gritty, like you said. This was gritty, and then you hear the story about Shia LaBeouf not taking a shower the whole time or bathing.
Oh, really?
Brad Pitt had to get on his ass about it because he would not. Almost the whole filming, he would not bathe.
I didn't hear that.
Stunk. Yes.
No, y'all.
Yes.
The rest of the crew would have nothing to do with him. They made him stay like in a whole different like bed and breakfast from them.
Because he stunk?
Because they didn't like him, I think.
Because he stunk too. I mean, they probably didn't like him.
But it also was great for the movie because he was the outcast at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't like him. They picked on him. So
it had some great scenes. So
it did.
I'll say this changed my opinion of him as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's a good actor.
He's a good actor.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's some there's some scenes that the acting is in his eyes, and I'm an eye person, and you know, a lot of times it can be a great actor, but it just isn't real. But that reality was in his eyes a lot of times, and it was impressive to me.
No, he was. You're right, Hadley. He was really good in this. But you know, the thing about this movie is you really didn't like anybody.
No.
You know, you really.
They were all pricks.
Yeah,
they're all assholes.
Yeah, and I get it that they've been deep in this, and you know their humanity is kind of stripped because of how they've been surviving. But you just didn't, and even that Logan Lerman kid that came in, you didn't like his character either.
Charlie St. Cloud.
Yes. Yeah. And wasn't he in that Neptune or whatever?
Yeah. Percy Jackson.
Percy Jackson comes in there, and Percy Jackson is not even likable. You know?
He's in Love and Monsters.
No. That's
not the same kid.
That's not the same kid.
It should be the same kid.
It should be. They don't age. But
I kind of like Michael Pena. The kid who played the guy who played
one of my favorite actors.
But you know who
doesn't like Michael Pena?
Who was a dick?
Yeah, he was an asshole.
Was Blumenthal.
It's like, shoot the dead people. Shoot them.
Oh yeah,
you a doctor? Yeah, it was.
It took John Bernthal, who was a dick as Shane in The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Then he comes back as the Punisher, and he's great. You know, and then he's back to being a dick. And
he was so bad, and I mean, not bad as an actor, but I mean, like, you just really hated his character.
Yeah.
But the one scene after they're bombed in the village, and the aunt and the girl that he just made love to are killed, and the way Blumenthal pushes him back, and then that one moment where he's yelling at him, "This is what it's like. Get used to it."
Yeah.
You know, that was like the one moment I was like, I liked him.
Yeah.
I liked him when he said, "You're a good man. I don't think that the rest of us are."
Yeah.
That was just a real great scene.
Yeah.
But I'll say this, and I'm a Brad Pitt fan. I mean,
hey, Landa.
But
sorry,
I really liked Brad Pitt's acting in this movie. It was grittier than normal.
Yeah.
Not as, but though he did have that accent again, that I think it's the same accent he used in Glorious Bastards.
Yes.
But I was like, is that how he really talks? But this was a great, and y'all just bear with me while I try and figure out how to say this. A lot of times they're great actors. Like Sean Connery is a great actor, but it's always Sean Connery.
Terrible Jeopardy player, though.
Yeah.
And then you have somebody like Tom Hanks, Tom Hanks becomes the characters.
Oh, yeah.
And this, to me, is a movie where Brad Pitt goes from being a movie star to being an actor.
Yeah.
But you know, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, too, though.
Yep.
He did just.
Yeah.
I love that character he played.
That stoner?
He did
Yeah.
good. He did. I mean, I'm not saying he did, but this is, to me, is just different. It's on a different level. It was. He played a character. You know, he wasn't. He wasn't Brad Pitt.
Yeah, he did a good job.
Yeah.
I was
He
impressed.
did have it.
I like this movie.
Oh,
I'm not going to give it a 5, but I like it.
Oh, I wouldn't give it a 5 either. But it's just, it was, I saw the movie and I said, okay, but how much of this is bullshit? And I went and read a couple of books from tankers during World War II, and it was very accurate. The only scene that wasn't accurate in the battle was a German tank would have taken out Brad Pitt first.
Yeah.
Then the rear tank. But if you took out Brad Pitt's tank, the movie would have been over.
Yeah, we should have picked Sahara. I should have picked Sahara. I love that movie. That's a good tank movie. That's a great tank movie right there. Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah.
That's a great
Alan,
tank movie.
I don't know of any modern Korean War movies. Most of the ones I know are from the 50s and early 60s. Pork Chop Hill, stuff like that.
Hacksaw Ridge. Oh, wait, no, that was Okinawa, huh?
That was Okinawa.
Why was I thinking?
Yep.
Do not relate the Koreans to the Japanese.
I am sorry. I'm sorry.
By the Koreans.
I'm sorry. But I don't think there's, other than Korean-made war movies, I don't think there's any
There isn't. They're all
American-made.
1950s.
That's not true, Max. He gave one to King Kong, I think.
And I gave one tonight to.
I gave one tonight. We Were Soldiers.
Yeah.
He gave one to Chicken with a Mohawk. Remember that movie?
Oh, yeah.
Chicken with a mohawk.
Hey, Scott, do you have to leave early tonight?
No, I do not have to leave early.
Oh, yes.
So we can extend it as long as we want.
Well, we got Private Ryan after this one, so. This was a good pick because it was really gritty. It was filmed well. The costumes, the tanks, everything looked authentic, you know?
I like the tank battles, and I like the way they were all inside that tank. Each had their own job, and they were all terrified, and they all did their job very well.
Right.
And the other tankers and the other tanks, they also did their jobs very well, and they just got killed. It was just, and the way, you know, the special effect of the tank round burning into the tank, and you just see that little hole, and everybody's jumping out of the tank on fire. It was just awful. It was just, I always thought, how terrifying must it be to be in a submarine? And now I'm looking at that and I'm like, how terrifying must it have been to be in a Sherman against a tiger?
Oh yeah, iron coffin.
Exactly. The only place you could shoot a tiger was in the ass.
Yeah.
You had to shoot it in the butt.
They did work well. They did. They I'm sure. I wonder how they trained for that. I wonder how whatever camp they went to like when they go through those boot camps and stuff to do that tank, actually work on one of those tanks.
Well, I read somewhere that the Americans and the Brits and the Canadians did not run into many Tiger tanks because a lot of them were on the eastern front.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing about that battle scene that irked me was if I was the Tiger tank commander, I would have just sat there.
Yeah, just stay right.
I just would have sat there, let them come to me and pick them off one by one.
Would have.
Wait, let's talk Kelly's Heroes.
Oh my God, I love that movie.
Well, there was a tiger tank in that movie.
I was thinking of
Oddball had to fight the tigers.
Okay,
he buys it at the end.
This is for you, Hadley. Okay, one of the tankers was in True Blood. One of the he gets killed, of course, but the four tankers.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is Jim Perrick that played. He was a human in True Blood. Oh, gosh.
Is that the same guy that played Opie?
No. But he was in True Blood.
That's
so
Ryan
Hurst is
Hurst.
And he was in Private Ryan and we were soldiers.
Yep. And The Walking Dead.
And The Walking Dead. Yeah. Full Moon, whatever that dude's name was that he played.
Yeah.
Well,
Beta, but he was a country
really
western
like
singer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What the
I
hell was
really
his-
like this movie. I think it was underrated, but I do think it was a really great pick, Scott.
Thank you. So what would you rate it?
I'm probably going to give it a 4.2.
I'd give it a
4.2.
4.
No. Rich?
I'll give it a 3.8. I liked it, but there were things that could have been done better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really
agree.
liked the tank battle. That was
Yeah,
great.
that's what get that, and the battle scenes kick it up to a 4.2. Probably would have been higher if they got rid of that stupid 20-minute section.
Well,
It-
I think the things that I liked about it was, well, Charlie St. Cloud or Percy Jackson, whatever you want to call him, because I mean, he had only been in the army for what do they say, 4 weeks.
Okay, but he reminded me of Oppum, and we can get to Oppum later. He reminded me so much of Oppum's character in Private Ryan.
He was a clerk. He wasn't supposed to be in a tank. He was
Yeah.
supposed to be taking notes.
But he had that innocent face of someone who was not supposed to be there. You know, the other guys, they all looked weathered and worn, and they'd been through the ringer. And
Right.
Yeah.
then you have this fresh-faced little baby, just and he just played it so well.
Who
And
gets the other tank crew killed?
I liked the fact that the Brad Pitt character was an older guy. He's supposed to be, I think, was he supposed to be 50-ish, or is it just Brad Pitt is 50-ish?
I think it's Brad
Pitt
Pitt's
is
50-ish.
But it came off well, and
Yeah.
I think it was it was a good war movie. You just obviously I'm a fan of war movies, so I'm just gonna stop here.
Well,
But
I
it-
like. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Hadley.
I'll say it's good. I enjoyed it.
I like where Brad Pitt broke down.
Yeah.
he moved away from his crew, and he broke down. I thought
Yeah.
that was good.
Little
Hoyt
little details like that make a movie good to me.
Hadley, that tank commander played Hoyt in True Blood. Thank you, Max.
Hoyt.
Remember Hoyt?
Yes,
Yep.
Hoyt and Jessica.
Yes, but he gets wiped out, and so does the other guy.
The other
Yes.
thing I liked about it was they showed what
It was-
happened to the German towns.
Yes,
That one
Yeah.
town they go through that there's nothing standing. The other one in the distance, that all you see is the black smoke coming from it.
Yeah.
Well, I have
And the
another.
refugees.
I have a
That was-
trivia piece for y'all if y'all are interested.
Sure.
Okay, so did you notice that it was Scott Eastwood?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he gets
Yeah.
wasted right away. It's like a
What?
waste of Scott Eastwood's
Well,
character.
wasn't it directed by Clint Eastwood?
No.
Was it?
No, this movie was directed
No.
by, hang on. a second.
David Ayer.
David
Yes.
Ayer? Why did I think
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood?
He wrote
Did he
Training
do one of
Day.
these
and-
movies?
So my trivia is Shia LaBeouf and Scott Eastwood got into fisticuffs over Scott Eastwood spitting on the tank because Shia LaBeouf thought that was disrespectful. It was only when he realized it had been written in the scene that way that he decided to let him spit on the tank.
That's funny.
And thus is why he was at the other place. No one wanted to hang out with him.
Well, Scott Eastwood gets wasted so fast in this movie. You see his character for a minute.
Yeah.
He has maybe 4 or 5 lines, and then he gets zapped pretty bad when they're in the town. He gets shot by those Germans and gets wasted pretty bad. And I thought that was a waste because I like Scott Eastwood as an actor. If you ever watch The Outpost, he's great in that, and he channels his dad big time.
Hmm.
That's another good one. Yeah,
He's getting there.
yeah, he is because we watched that.
In Suicide Squad,
Yeah,
the first one.
first one.
Who was he in Suicide Squad?
One of the nameless army guys.
Oh, okay.
But Michael Fernier says he was a kid. Yeah, I know he was a kid, but his characters just annoyed me.
But it was like the kid in Saving Private Ryan. Except the kid in Saving Private Ryan was a friggin' coward.
I hate Oppum.
I
I hate
hate
that.
him.
I hate that scene
Yeah.
with a passion.
But like the
Ugh.
kid when he screws up in Fury, it's not because he's a coward. He sees the kid running through the woods and it's like,
Yeah.
should I say something? And by the time he realizes he should, the tank is destroyed and everybody's killed.
Yeah, but unless you're in that type of situation, unless you've been there and you've been schooled in what to do, you're not going to shoot a kid. You're just not.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It fit
He annoyed
for
me.
that situation.
Yeah.
And then
He
when
was
they
annoying.
then when they dragged him into the reality by making him shoot the other German in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
That
was
scene's
a weird
intense.
scene.
Yeah,
That was
scene's
it was
intense.
very intense.
Yeah, that scene was intense.
It's a good movie.
It is. I'm not saying it's a bad movie.
I know. It's just. I mean, we did kind of put it up with some really hard movies for it to play well with, but
Yes,
but
yeah,
it
we
was
did.
good.
We did. It is filmed beautifully.
Yes.
And like you were saying, the battle scenes are great. You know,
And the
tank-
tracer rounds.
The
yeah.
the army uniforms that they're wearing, they look really good too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I always thought tanker uniforms were cool back in
Yeah.
World War II. You know.
I think I saw where they actually got the inspiration from actual museum quality uniforms that they had.
Well, somewhere I read where the guy, remember the commanding officer that was wearing that weird fur coat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was actually true. One of the officers was wearing something like that.
Now
But
that
you
was
did what you had to in the war.
Well, and-
Jason Isaacs from
Yep.
Black Hawk Down that
Oh.
played the captain that that guy imitated.
He was also in the Patriot.
Yeah. Oh,
Lucius Malfoy.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Hated him in the Patriot, man.
Hated
That
him in
character
the Harry
was
Potter
great.
stuff.
I gotta
Well,
watch
he
that.
played it great in the Patriot, though. You
Yeah, he
really
did.
hated him.
He
He
did.
killed Mel Gibson's whole family.
I know, right? Killed a little kid.
Yeah.
Him and Adam Baldwin. Adam Baldwin was horrible in that.
Yeah, he was a bastard.
Oh, the Patriot. I was thinking of the other
Yeah.
movie. Oh God, yeah, that was.
Yeah, Max. Jason Isaac. He's great. He plays a good
He
bad
is,
guy
Max.
and a good guy.
That should
Well-
be a topic for a future movie. Good bad guys.
Yeah.
Bad guys we love
The
to
best
hate.
villains.
Yes.
Yes.
Villains we love to hate.
We loved
So
it.
the
Hans
best villains
Gruber.
I can think of right now are the kid that played Joffrey Baratheon. He was just
Oh my God, he was
such
so good.
he nailed it so well.
Yeah,
And the
he did.
girl who was who got hit in the head with the skate in Stranger Things.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just wanted to
Oh,
beat the shit out of her
God, yes.
the second I saw her. I don't know who she was. I just
Oh, he just hated her.
I just wish it was an ice skate, but
yeah.
Best hated. There we go.
no, my favorite bad guy. I know I go traditional. Hans Gruber.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah,
was
you
gonna
can't
say-
lose. Can't
You
lose. on
asked
Hans
for the
Gruber.
Christmas miracle.
He's-
I give you the FBI.
Hans Gruber or Sheriff of Nottingham, but both of it.
Oh
go.
my
Oh,
God, yes.
Yes. He got to ad
Absolutely.
lib some of that stuff in Sheriff of Nottingham. That's great. It's too
I miss
bad. He's a
Alan
great
Rickman.
talent.
Yes.
We could do an Alan Rickman movie night.
Oh my
Oh, yeah.
God, yes.
That would be fun.
Yes.
So moving from Fury, Saving Private Ryan.
And I know I threw this at y'all midweek, and I actually didn't get to rewatch it. But well, I've seen it so many times. But I'm gonna say that when I was thinking about, war movies that have actually moved me, that was when I changed it to We Were Soldiers, and that's when I mentioned Saving Private Ryan, because Saving Private Ryan at the theater when they are getting off of the boats.
Oh yeah.
That was the realest. That's the closest I hope to ever get to warfare.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was there. It was just shocking. But that movie changed my life.
I saw this movie at the movie theater, and it was an enormous movie theater. It had like 350 seats,
Yes.
and we got there, and it was packed. And
yeah.
I was with my wife at the time, and like the only place we could sit was in the front row.
Oh my.
And so we're looking like this, and we're watching that whole bobbing thing, and I'm like, I never get sick in my life. I don't get seasick too often, and I don't get car sick or motion sickness. But that was just I had to actually close my eyes a few times with some of those scenes because of the camera bob. It was getting me.
I mean, I've read tons of first-person accounts of World War II. And I was like enjoying the movie, the beginning, but when the ramp went down and the bullets came through and you could hear the ricochet, because this theater we had like the center up.
Same.
You could hear the ricochets behind you and the bullets thudding into human bodies and blood spattering the screen. I got so drawn into that movie.
Well, you know what we're going to do when we have our Weird Realities get together in New Orleans?
Yeah.
We're gonna
They
shoot
have
it
a
with
D-Day
boats.
museum there. They have a D-Day museum there,
Nice.
and I believe that Tom Hanks is the one, like, you put the headphones on, and he's the one who narrates it.
You know, he embodied Captain Miller.
Yes.
Agreed.
I mean, he became Captain Miller.
Yeah.
You know, I was upset when he died. You know,
Yeah.
it was like, oh man, you know, the character, teacher, the school teacher, leading these men, and the choices he had to make.
Mm-hmm.
It was brilliant. It was just so, I guess to me, is so real.
Yeah.
His
How
character.
about a sticky bomb? It's in the field manual.
I had the good fortune to go with two friends. We did a tour once, Normandy to the Battle of the Bulge. And you walk around the beaches today, and there's houses and tourists, but there is one of the old German bunkers up on a hill. And when you sit there in it and look out the gun port and see the whole beach is opened up, it's amazing our guys made it off of Omaha.
Oh man. Yeah, I'd love to see that museum, Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah, that opening scene is just, I wasn't as fortunate as you all were, because I lived in a small town that had this rinky-dink theater that had 2 screens. So I went with some guys from work because Tina didn't want to go see it because she didn't want to cry. She's since seen this movie like 3 times.
And
Did you cry 3 times?
Oh yeah. We watched it last night and we were both tearing up, you know, even though we knew what was going to happen, you know.
It's
and
a
we were
hard
both
watch.
yelling at Oppum. We were both yelling
You
at Oppum.
asshole, dick.
Yeah, do something, you know. I didn't get the loud sound effects, you know, and a really great screen. It was an okay screen, but still, that scene was just riveting. You know,
The porn
here comes the
blocks
naked
back.
HD again.
Yeah.
Though I have one major problem with the movie: the opening scene with the old guy at the cemetery.
Yeah.
I leaned over and I said to my wife at the time, "Oh, that's Private Ryan." And my brother-in-law said the same thing. And you know how I knew? He was wearing a 101st pin.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, notice he's wearing 101st. The guys that go get him are infantry.
Yeah.
So if he's wearing 101st, I knew from the get-go he wasn't going to get killed.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of
Spielberg should have known better.
Yeah, but you know what? I think Spielberg did that for you because not everybody's gonna pick up on that.
No, I
He
know.
said Scott Baker.
Let me check IMDb. Hold on a second.
He did. I think he did that for people
Scott
that would
Baker.
pick up on it.
Scott Baker.
Because
Yeah.
not everybody's gonna pick up though.
That's
No,
true.
but there's a lot of us military buffs
Yes.
who picked up on that right away.
And you're gonna say, "Wait, he can't die," and you're gonna know ahead of time. So I mean, that's, call it what you will, but I think Spielberg did that on purpose.
Great cast. I mean, ton of actors in this that, you know, just wanted to be in this movie. Ted Danson, Paul Giamatti. One of my favorite scenes is when Paul Giamatti he's got a rock in his boot and he leans against that wall and the wall caves in and there's all those Germans and they're all pointing guns at each other, and then Ted Danson comes in and just spreads them all across the wall. You know, I love that scene.
The one comic relief scene that I laughed at was when after they get to Paul Giamatti's group and they call Francis F. Ryan.
Oh, Nathan Fillion.
Nathan Fillion comes up.
Yeah.
How can my brothers be dead? They're still in high school. Aren't you Francis James Ryan of Illinois? No, I'm Francis John Ryan of Minnesota. Government bureaucracy at its finest.
I mean, this movie is just a bunch of great scenes. Sewn together, you know. That scene where they're at the glider crash site and they've got the bag of dog tags and they're so desensitized because, you know, they've been through all that and they're, you know, doling out the dog tag. Hey, let me see this dog, you know, and the other soldiers are walking by seeing this, you know. I love that scene. And then they realize, then Wade the medic comes and says, hey, what are you guys doing? You know, and he grabs the dog tags and then they realize, you know, how they look and what's going on. But I love that scene. I think it's just, you know, just another one of the great scenes in that that movie.
The scene that bothered me was when they were having the battle for the town and they took down the Tiger tank and all the Americans are on it and they're throwing the grenades in
Oh yeah.
and they don't see the 20 millimeter come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in just a matter of 3 seconds, they literally chew those
cool.
Americans apart.
Oh yeah, that's a hard scene because you see all those guys just fly apart.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, holy crap. Yeah, the left-handed sniper. Yeah, that was great. Barry Pepper. He was in
Pepper. Yeah.
We Were Soldiers.
This movie made me fall in love with Barry Pepper and Edward Burns.
Oh, I've always liked Edward Burns.
I think this was the first thing I saw him in.
Oh wow. Yeah, he's a director. He had some movie back in the early
Brothers
90s.
McMullen.
Yes.
I've since become a fan.
Yeah. Oh no, he's a good actor. He's underused, definitely. I think I identified with his character the most because that would be me.
Yeah.
I'd bitch. I would be bitching a lot, but I would do what I had to do. But I would still bitch.
Learn from him. He knows how to bitch the best.
But this is just a beautiful movie.
It is.
The cinematography is really good too.
Yeah.
It hits you in the heart.
And a lot of the battle sequences, I like the scene when the poor kid's walking around looking for his arm. I mean, I actually read that in The Longest Day. So they did a lot of good research on this.
Well, Spielberg doesn't make, bad movies. Not on this tier. Well, I was going to say not on this tier. I mean, like this was around, he had just, was it before or after he came off Schindler's List?
After.
Yeah, I mean, he really does his research, and this is something that you can tell he's I guess fan of. I hate to say fan because I don't think
he's very into portraying World War II history accurately. Him and Hanks are working on a mini series for, I think, HBO about the air war in Europe. And they said they're going to go into the details of how horrifying it was to be in a B-17 over Germany. That thing keeps on getting delayed. I would love to see that.
Well,
Wasn't it him and Hanks that didn't they do Band of Brothers, or did they do
Pacific? They did Band of Brothers.
Yes.
They did, right?
And then they did the
Pacific.
The Pacific,
yeah.
Well, I really searched for the Memphis Belle, but we were going to have to rent it, so that's why I didn't pick it because I love that movie. But I love the air fight stuff. My great grandfather was a navigator.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Pacific or?
Yeah, I think I've told y'all. He's from Maine, but he had to go to the training school in Monroe, Louisiana, and that's where he met my grandmother.
Oh,
that's neat.
Let me answer your question, Alan.
And we all agree with Scott.
We agree with Scott.
Memphis Belle that I did not like was their last mission was a milk run over France. So that movie is just total bullshit. However, everything that happened to the Memphis Belle on that mission or the other planes did happen in real life to other planes. As for the movie Pearl Harbor, I was watching it with my best friend, and the fact that his big screen TV didn't get knocked off the wall, considering the things we were throwing at it, or he didn't pull out his Glock and put bullet holes through it, is a miracle. That is the biggest piece of schlock.
You know, a lot of guys.
What drove me nuts is there you have Doris Miller, played by Cuba Gooding. You know, the first African-American hero of World War II who, didn't even know how to use it and used the plane to shoot down Japanese. No, in this movie, he's shooting directly across at the guys on the other ship. Yeah. Two things before we continue. Hi, Mom. And we're talking World War II movies. A very sad event yesterday. Woody Williams, the last surviving World War II veteran who had earned a Medal of Honor, passed away at 96.
Oh.
And that just breaks my heart because all the World War II veterans are going. Pretty soon, World War II is going to be like the Civil War, World War I.
Yeah,
it'll just be in history books.
It's just sad.
But going back, Pearl Harbor.
Well, there's a reason they call it the Greatest Generation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
A few years ago,
there's
my
a
daughter did. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Scott.
So no, I saw what Max said. I saw that Scott said. There's a photo I've got of a May Day parade a few years ago when all the World War II veterans would come together. And there's this old Soviet soldier, this old Red Army guy walking with his medals, crying because he's the last alive member of his unit. And he's the only one walking in that section for the parade. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is.
Well, and I'm gonna have to find it to send y'all. But it's a, I guess like an infographic video that you can interactive video, something you can find on YouTube that shows how many people died during World War II in Russia
Yes.
versus
Yeah.
like the Holocaust.
Yeah.
And it outnumbers it. It's people don't realize we really just don't realize.
No. And that's just been the way when I started reading about World War II on the Eastern Front, and the movie that did it for me, and I know you two guys saw it, Cross of Iron.
Yeah.
If you've not seen it, Hadley, you got to see. After that, I started reading about the war of the Eastern Front. And it was like, oh my God, one battle over there equaled our entire campaign from Normandy to the Rhine. I mean, they just Stalingrad, the Battle of Kursk. It's horrendous.
Well, what was it? There was a movie I watched with Ed Harris where he was the German sniper.
Oh,
Enemy at the Gates.
Enemy at the Gates.
Yeah, that's when I realized what really had happened with the Russians was that when they would send two out and give one a gun and say, well, when you get shot, get it to him. Here's a
They're
bullet.
still doing that.
Yeah.
And Khrushchev, who played Khrushchev? Bob Hoskins.
Yeah.
Played Nikita Khrushchev. That
There
was a
was
good movie too.
There was like scenes in the real life where the Germans were in apartment 3 fighting the Soviets in apartment 4 across the hall. So if you want to see a great,
even worse in the 30s though, Max.
Yeah. If you want to see a great Soviet war movie made by the Russians, I think it's called 35 or 38. It's some people say it's purely fictionalized. It was a propaganda ploy by Stalin. Others say it really happened, but it's about the Soviet unit of about 35, 38 guys trying to stop the German armed invasion of Moscow that supposedly actually stopped them and prevented the city from being taken.
That's the thing about them is you can't tell with their propaganda.
No, but it's still a great movie.
Oh yeah, man! Magnificent Seven of the East,
Yeah, yeah.
Have y'all seen The Pianist?
Yes,
that's another good one. I mean, it's not Russian, but it's Adrian Brody. He plays a Jewish pianist in Warsaw during World War II.
He plays what?
A German pianist. Pianist. A guy that plays the piano, you pervert.
I was wondering what movie you guys are watching. Sorry.
And there's a funny scene. Do you remember when we watched King Kong?
Yes.
And the bottle in the ship rolls over and Kretschmann puts his foot on it and picks it up?
Oh.
That happened in The Pianist. The bottle of pickles rolls away from Adrian Brody, and Kretschmann, as the German officer, puts his foot on it and picks it up. They just recreated it for humor to see if anybody would get it.
Get it?
What's the NKVD?
It was the Soviet Secret Service. Eventually became the KGB. KGB.
It was pre-KGB.
This was the unit that what they would do was they would take Soviet prisoners.
Wouldn't your eyes light up when Rich said
they would take Soviet prisoners without guns and tell them to charge the German positions. And if you come back, we're going to shoot you.
Yeah.
And then they just send these Soviet soldiers in until they were gunned down and used up all the German ammunition. Then the Red Army would swerve over. And if you were lucky enough to survive, you got sent back to prison until the next campaign. So.
Crazy.
I have not seen The Beast.
I saw it.
Movie.
That is a good movie.
Years ago. I should watch it again.
It's a decent flick. It's not fantastic, but it's definitely worth seeing.
Yeah, it is. It's worth a watch. It's got one of the Lost Boys in it, right?
I
Oh,
think
it
so.
does.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's an 80s flick. So let's get back to Private Ryan then,
Sure.
since we're getting close on our time here. So let's hear some takes on it then from some of you, because
Oh, this movie gets a 13 out of 5. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
that's
just,
what I was gonna say.
it's-
Like a 5.5.
other than Band of Brothers, it's the best war movie. Well, I mean, if you want to look at like the older stuff, you can get into that. I'm a big fan of Harrison Ford and oh Jesus, what the hell, Harrison Ford.
Navarone, Gun,
Hanover Street.
Yes,
Force 10
from Navarone. I can't believe
Navarone.
Oh,
I screwed that up. Jesus.
with
Great
Jaws.
show, Rich.
Jaws was in that.
Yeah, I know. Quint, Robert Shaw.
Robert
Um,
Shaw and
that's a
Jaws,
great
Richard
movie.
Kiel.
Yeah,
was in
yeah,
it.
exactly. Yeah.
I thought you were talking Hanover Street.
Yeah.
No,
No. For
not
me, that's
Hanover
great.
Street.
It's one of the best World War II films out there.
It's good.
Yeah,
I
give
mean,
it a
I like
5.
it. It's better than Guns and Navarone actually, because it's the sensibility is more now. It was more 80s than it was when they made Guns and Navarone in the 60s. You know what I mean? I love the 60s war movies. Love a lot of those.
I was surprised no one picked The Great Escape.
Thought
That's
about
a-
it.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
But I
thought
don't
we
consider
were gonna
that
do
a
newer movies.
war movie.
Yeah.
That's more of a, you know,
Escape flick. Yeah.
Yeah, that's its own genre, because you got like Stalag 17,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And then
Yes.
you have King Rat, right?
Oh,
So
I
I mean,
forgot
those
about that,
movies,
yeah.
and then the Japanese war camp movies, and those suck because they're awful.
yeah.
I know. Well,
You know.
that's why I didn't pick Where Eagles Dare. Where Eagles Dare is one of my favorite movies.
Oh my God, that is
But,
the greatest,
but it's a spy
greatest
movie.
espionage movie
It is.
ever made.
It's
It
a
is
spy
great.
movie. It's not a World
Yeah.
War II movie or a
Yeah.
We'll
war
have to
movie
add that
per
to our
se.
genres
Yeah.
that
Oh,
we're
And then-
every time you think you know what's going on in the movie, they
Twist.
pull another plot twist.
Tor is a good movie too.
Tor
Yeah,
Tor is fantastic.
we should have picked Kelly's Heroes.
Yeah.
Kelly's Heroes. Again,
Greatest
that's
war movie ever.
My second favorite war movie. Well, I guess
Yeah.
if you count the other one, but
And my
Yeah,
third favorite, I got those two, but my third favorite is Where Eagle. No, oh my God, I can't think of it.
Operation Crossbow.
No, the one where Michael Caine goes to assassinate Churchill.
Eagle has landed.
The eagle is landed.
Yes.
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 And
a
my
good one.
God, Donald Pleasance was Himmler. He was so disgusting and evil.
Well,
Big-
this was a lot of fun.
Yes.
So, Alan, what was your score for Saving Private Ryan?
Oh my gosh, it's a 5. I love this movie. It opened the door for a Band of Brothers. I mean, this was
Yeah.
a success. They saw they could do it.
Yeah.
Band of Brothers got to be one of the greatest miniseries in TV
Ever.
history.
I'm gonna watch it again. I'm gonna start it tomorrow.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
that.
I'm gonna
series.
watch it again.
Scott?
I'm with Rich. I'd give this a 13. This is except for him wearing the 101st, it's a perfect movie. It's a great war movie. And I don't think there's any war movie out there that better shows what the greatest generation went through in World War II.
And it's also got that scene where you just where you yell at the TV or the movie theater.
The
You
knife
know that
scene.
scene where Opham is watching Mellish get killed.
Yes.
Yes.
Knife
Does
scene.
nothing.
Yeah.
I know.
Scene, yeah. That,
And the
then-
German doesn't even bother with it.
I know.
He's not-
That's what I loved about it. The German gives him such a disdainful look. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm a
pats him on
coward
the
to let
shoulder
my
on the way out.
yeah, I'm a coward to let my friend die, and now the German won't even kill me.
Yeah. And
But
he had to
that
live
was-
with that.
Wasn't that the German he saved earlier?
No,
No.
that was a different.
That isn't the German he saved earlier, but the German he saved earlier is the one when he's hiding in the foxhole. He sees the German shooting at them.
He kills. Actually,
And
he's the one that kills
he's
Tom
finally
Hanks.
he kills him.
Yeah. Midnight. That's a good movie.
Like clear.
That was a good movie.
Tony, just need to start emailing me all these movies I don't know about.
Oops.
Oh, that's sad. That's very sad.
I would love to do that. I would love to go to those sites. In
Imagine there's a
Japan,
lot.
in Japan, and unfortunately, the way I worked, I was never able to do it. You were allowed to go into the Japanese caves on Okinawa and do excavation. And the rule was the Japanese government allowed it. If you found anything, you could keep the military stuff, but all personal items had to be returned to the Japanese government.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Wow.
And it was a great deal because, some of my friends were coming out with all these old medals and that. And, but they were finding diaries. They were finding photographs of like in, we were soldiers. When he finds the Vietnamese, the killed Vietnamese guy's diary with the picture of the girl, they were returning that stuff to family members. They were getting closure.
She got it.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. Mike Lewis said Abe Lincoln Vampire. I love that movie.
It's fun.
It's a fun movie.
It's the movie's incredibly stupid, but it's fun. The book
but you know what? I got a tear at the end of that one because when Lincoln's going to the theater, I know what's going to happen to him.
Oh yeah.
I'm a big softy when it comes. I was like, oh, that's it. Old Abe's gonna die. Don't go, Abe. Don't go.
Now we got to watch Abraham Lincoln Zombie Hunter. And that is a real movie.
How about the one?
Sat through it.
Did you see the FDR one?
Yes.
With the werewolves?
Yeah. Was that the one where he had the machine guns on the chair?
Yes.
What? This is a real movie and I've missed it?
Oh, you didn't really miss anything.
You didn't miss anything. It is funny. It is funny. It's got some really ribald humor in it. And it's got Barry Bostwick in it and some other actors you can't believe are in it.
There is a new movie called Slacks about a killer pair of jeans.
Oh, I had a pair like that.
Okay.
I hear good things about it. But
if you want to see a movie that's horrendously bad but a riot, Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter.
Oh my!
And then the opening scene during daylight, they open a van and the vampires come out of the van to kill Jesus like clowns out of a clown car. Don't watch the battle in the park. The battle in the park is stupid. Yeah, watch everybody around the park staring at these people like, what the hell are these guys doing?
Does Turkey make a guest appearance in that?
No, he does not make a guest appearance in that.
So
somebody does.
What is on tap for next week, Alan?
Next week is new horror movies.
Oh,
right?
I still have to pick mine.
You have to pick yours, Rich.
Yeah.
New horror movies.
We got Saint Maud, Titanic 666, which is a good movie. Do not let the title turn you off. And what was it? Deep House?
The Deep House, yes.
House.
So, and
how new is new? 2022?
21, 22, around there. Whatever. If because of COVID, if some didn't.
Yeah, I had to do 21. I mean, yeah I didn't do 22 yet.
Yeah.
I couldn't find anything.
I'm looking now.
So it's new horror movies next week, folks. Gettysburg, Michael, that's a great movie. Civil War movies are great. We ought to do a Civil War movie show too.
Oh yeah,
we should.
That's another tragic.
Agreed. Oh, have you guys seen Blood Red Sky?
Yes.
That's my pick.
What's that about?
That is about a vampire on a
yes,
on a plane.
It's a good
that's
good pick, Rich.
Yeah.
Here we go.
It's about a guy goes on a bender and can't find Visine, so it's Blood Red Sky.
All right. Well, we will be off for wishing everybody a happy 4th of July.
Yes.
Happy and safe.
And any of you that served out there, that we thank you.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Thank you for your service, your family service. I always like to thank the families because they go through hell while people are deployed.
And we're glad you're here with us. So thank you. Again.
And remember those of us who didn't come back, to keep us free.
Yeah.
And I will say, keep your pets inside.
Mm.
Keep them safe. Don't let them get scared by the fireworks. And we love y'all. And we will see y'all soon. And I've got a new out thing. So hold on, let me play it.
Good night. Thank you.
This is what's coming up in July, so be sure to watch it for a second.